What's up, everybody? It's Sid and Millie back with another episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be chatting about the freedom or lack thereof in the United States.
Yeah, 100%. So essentially, we could argue a lot of different things here today, but as we know, the United States is kind of redeemed as the most free
The
country, and
land of the free.
yeah, and Americans love toting about their freedom and the freedoms that we have and those sorts of things. And so, yeah, we just want to actually look at what these freedoms look like and what our country actually is more like at a face value than this heightened ideology that's kind of conditioned on Americans from youth.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing about freedom, I feel like it is such a subjective thing that
Yeah,
like
true.
people do see it in different ways. So obviously,
Facts.
like you might feel differently about this than us, and that's totally fine. But this is kind of our thoughts and our take on what
Yeah,
like freedom looks like in this country as we
right.
have traveled a lot across,
Both domestically and
yep,
abroad. I mean,
domestically and abroad.
multiple countries in Europe, all over the United States. So
Yep.
yeah, definitely so many different cities we've been to, traveled through, stayed in, explored around. So yeah, so we have a pretty good um, insight or perspective on like what that quote unquote freedom truly looks
Mm-hmm.
like. Because yeah, it looks a little bit different a lot of places you go. But again, no country on earth claims to be more obsessed with freedom than the United States. So with that in mind, that is why we are kind of arguing against that thesis that the United States
Yeah.
is like a free country.
Yeah.
And so I'll start it off
I
right.
know.
Oh,
I was literally just gonna say,
you
what
want me
would be your
to?
first point on that?
I'll start it off with something that's a little bit more recent, a more recent development. But there are 80,000 plus flock cameras in the United States. And if you didn't
Surveillance.
know, the state of Texas used thousands of these flock cameras in order to track down a singular woman because she received health care in their state. So, and they access flock cameras nationwide because there is at least one flock camera in every single state in the United States.
That's so scary to think
Yeah.
about.
So that
Excuse
is
me.
surveillance. We are being surveilled by a private company that is essentially using that information. Police are using the technology. They've been using it for nefarious actions to track their exes or stalk somebody or those sorts of things. So my first anti-freedom argument is going to be around the surveillance. There are too
Yes.
many flock cameras, which is a private company literally surveilling us.
Yes. Well, like not only that, the fact that they're surveilling generally, but they've gotten it wrong already so many
I
times.
saw.
You go ahead.
Go. What were you
Okay, well,
gonna
I was
say?
gonna say I saw something recently where it was a
Yeah.
woman who, like, a police officer showed up at her door and was immediately accusing her of stealing someone's package. Like, just saying, oh, we have it on camera. We have it on camera. You did this. You did this. You were driving through this neighborhood. And she's like, I can't just drive through a neighborhood,
Um,
and like was literally not even innocent until proven guilty. They
yeah.
basically went there and said, we have this on camera. Your car was driving through this neighborhood. So you're immediately guilty for stealing this package. And that is scary.
Yeah, it's insane. That's actually like really
That's
insane.
scary that
Um,
they can do that. That actually gives
facts.
me like anxiety on a day to
Yeah.
day basis, thinking about the fact that like someone can just show up at your door and be like, oh, we have your car on camera here. There was a crime committed nearby. You're guilty. And you're like, I know it happens all the time to people,
Yeah.
especially certain groups of people, of course, but like that's so scary to think about.
Yeah. 100%. Especially because clearly law enforcement is just blindly trusting this surveillance that they're doing. And on top of that, I saw a study that showed that the flock cameras were inaccurate or outright wrong upwards of 70% of the time. So not only are they surveilling us, but they are inaccurately surveilling us, which, like the situation that Sid brought up, makes it more likely that you will be miscriminalized for something you didn't do,
Yeah.
because of the way that these cameras are being utilized. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
crazy. That is not freedom.
No, that
That
right
is not
there,
freedom.
period. That's
Yeah,
such a good point. Like that's such a good point
yeah,
to bring up because the flock cameras are definitely popping up in a lot more places around the
yeah.
country. people thankfully are combating that in their own
Yep.
ways. I've
Yep.
seen a lot of different things. I don't want our video to get taken down by sharing,
True patriots,
yeah,
the true
sharing
patriots
the
out
things
there
that
that are
people have
fighting
been
back
doing,
against
but
Flock. We
you
see you and
can
we appreciate you.
find the things online. And yeah, literally, we appreciate you for taking one for the team and like
Yeah,
doing that.
yeah, definitely. So that's one. Do
That's
you
one.
want to bring up another one, or you want me to
I
just
mean,
fire something else off?
kind of off of that same just like surveillance state and
Mm,
like miscriminalizing people,
mm,
the prison population in this country,
mm. The
because
United States has the highest prison population on Earth.
yeah,
In the developed world, on the entire planet, the United States has the highest prison population on Earth. So think about that. In the land of the free, there are more prisoners than any other country on Earth. That includes China, that includes Russia, that includes North Korea, that includes Cuba, that includes all of the countries that people love talking shit about and love judging based on their, whatever. And here we go with an example of the United States having the highest prison population on the planet.
yeah.
That is not freedom.
No, that is
That is not
not
freedom.
freedom. No, it's not freedom. And I mean, again, like even not just with the flock cameras, like we're seeing people getting miscriminalized and put in jail for things that they didn't do all of the time.
All of the time.
And the thing is with the prisons, they're for profit.
Yep. A
The
lot of
more,
profits. A
yeah,
lot
a
of
lot of them
prisons,
are
yeah,
for
are for
profit.
profit.
Obviously, not all of
Not all
them,
of them,
but a
yeah.
lot of prisons are for profit. So it's
Yeah.
incentivizing police officers, like any of these prisons, to be putting pressure on local police departments or
Yeah.
just
And they
generally
do that. The
to
police
be,
departments have quotas. If you guys didn't know, the police departments literally have quotas for tickets, arrests. Like they have quotas that they're trying to meet because of exactly what Sid said. The private prison industrialization complex, essentially what private companies are doing. They buy, they own, they operate these prisons. They demand the state keep them at capacity, fully full with prisoners, and then they utilize those prisoners for cheap slave labor. That is essentially the way the system works. Private prisons, they're the ones that are making those cheap products that you're getting at Walmart and those sorts of places.
yeah,
That those low cost goods are being produced by slave labor in our prison system. Because there's a loophole in the 13th Amendment, which essentially says slavery is illegal unless it is as punishment of a crime, for a crime. So that is essentially what the private prison industrialization complex is utilizing. They are utilizing on these prisoners as slave labor to then sell products to companies and then make
mm-hmm.
billions of dollars internally. So yeah, when you have a system like that in the United States, again, not freedom, right? When you have a system in place to put Americans in prison so that they can work for free, that's not freedom.
So,
That's
okay.
slavery.
Wow. Okay. So, question on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, do these corporations like Walmart and I don't know if Amazon has any sort of
A
like,
lot of them, yeah, a
okay,
lot of
do
them
they
do it.
have like
Starbucks.
contracts with the prisons?
Yeah, so they have like contracts with the prisons to essentially, again, get the goods at a very low cost because there
Mm-hmm.
is no paid labor or very minimal paid labor that goes into the production of those goods. So those companies are making almost pure profit because they're utilizing their prison slaves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
so
it's like it's
Walmart, they know.
levels. It's
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's deep.
levels.
They know. I mean, states have contracts with these prison systems
Wow.
because that's how the police are involved in the quotas and things. Like that's where that pressure comes from that you
Yeah.
referenced to fill these things because a lot of states have, again, multi-hundred-million, billion-dollar deals with these corporations. And if they don't fulfill them, there are consequences. So yeah, we have a prison industrial complex in our country
That's
that is
scary.
actively taking Americans off the street and inserting them into a prison labor complex. So
Wow.
freedom.
Yeah. Wow. So scary. And like, I mean, we see it all the time, especially with just like underprivileged areas of, especially with like
Yeah.
police targeting those areas
Oh
and
yeah.
targeting people in those areas,
Naturally.
and not really, again, it's not innocent until proven guilty. It's you're guilty. If we say you're guilty, you're going to prison. It's
Yeah.
like
And I
there's
mean,
no due process in a lot of
exactly.
scenarios, and it's expensive. It's expensive to get a lawyer.
Exactly.
People can't do that.
People can't get bond whenever they're falsely accused of a crime, right? So if you get arrested for something you didn't do and they put you in jail, the only way you can get out of jail is by paying a certain amount of money, 10% of whatever the judge sets your bond at. And in order to get out of prison, you have to pay that money. So yeah, if you come from a struggling area or you don't have that sort of money on hand, which most Americans don't, reminder, 65% of Americans don't even have $1,000 in a savings account. So again, this is most Americans we're talking
Yeah.
about when we're referencing people who couldn't afford to pay something up front like that. That's most of our country. So you're talking about people who are getting falsely accused, wrongfully arrested, and then put in jail, and then they're unable to get out of jail because they can't afford to. And I've seen it in a situation where it lasted literally up to a decade, where people have been in jail unable to get that bond, unable to get out, and because their trial kept getting pushed back and pushed back, or issues with trial, so they never actually got freed.
It's
So yeah,
ridiculous.
that is also another part of it. The prison system is a trap that is meant to keep people down. You know, they're not
Yeah.
trying to rehabilitate people and get them back
No.
into society. That isn't the goal of our prison system.
No, it's not. I mean, I think I can't remember where it is. And there was something else I wanted to say on that,
Mm.
with regards to just like people getting arrested for things and being held. It's like that can happen to you over a parking ticket. That
Taillight.
can literally happen to you over something so minuscule that it's like,
I mean, we've seen black people get killed in this country over a tail light. So
yes,
like we know that the police don't care, right? Like they
no,
are not the most educated. They don't have to learn the actual laws. It actually takes longer in the United States to become a barber who cuts hair than it does to become a police officer. So when you think about that, just remember your barber is much more qualified to do their job than the officer that's, showing up at whatever's
how
going on.
crazy
Yeah.
is that? That's
Pretty
crazy.
nuts.
But on the note that you were talking about with rehabilitation,
Mhm.
I forget what country I had seen like something about their prison system. I don't know if it was
Mm.
Sweden
It
or
was
just
one of
like one of
them.
those
Yeah, yeah.
Nordic
One of those
countries
Nordics. Yeah.
where they're very people forward, very social. You know, they want people to be happy, people to be like successful, and
Yeah.
people to be contributing members to
God forbid,
society.
right?
And so, yeah, for
In
real,
the United
their
States.
prison population, their prison system is meant to rehabilitate people and help people
Yeah.
integrate back into society.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're being incarcerated for something,
Right.
but the point of that is to help them become a normal, functioning human being again.
Yeah, and I think, when people hear, and I won't say people generally, but it's Republicans, conservatives, typically when they hear things about prison reform or things like that, they immediately get triggered and, start saying a bunch of buzzwords, scare tactics. But the reality of what we're talking about is that a large portion of the prison population in the United States are in there for nonviolent crimes. Most of them are in there for minor drug offenses, car things, robberies, very minor nonviolent crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're talking about rehabilitating those sorts of
Yes.
people who have committed nonviolent minor misdemeanors, whatever, or are just in prison wrongfully. Those are the sorts of people that we're talking about working on rehabilitating and getting better and, having those people rejoin society. No, we do not want people like the Epstein and Trumps of the world. We don't want those sorts of people leaving prison and rejoining society,
Yet
putting
it's so easy
children.
for them to leave prison.
Right. Well, because they're so
I know.
rich, but
Yeah.
just even on a general person level, like we don't want people committing those sorts of crimes, child related crimes, child assault, sexual assault. We don't want those sorts of dangerous criminal people back on the streets. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Those are the people we want to keep in bars for sure. But there
Yeah.
are a lot of nonviolent people who are in jail because of 3 strikes you're out and all those other sorts of racist laws that were written in American history.
Yeah.
Those are the sort of people that deserve rehabilitation because a minor drug offense should not be a life sentence.
Absolutely not. That is literally such a ridiculous sentiment. I actually don't understand that at all. But it's
Yeah.
again comes back to the for-profit prison systems
Right.
and like the feeling of like the need to fill them up and use people for labor, for slave labor.
Yep.
It all comes back to that. It doesn't matter what offense you had. It's, oh,
Yeah.
well, we can use you to
Exactly.
build and for cheap labor.
Yeah,
Like
and
that.
just tying that back into like our thesis, right? Like that is an example that Americans are not truly free. You cannot be truly free if every time you go outside you are potentially worried that you could end up in a inescapable prison industrial complex.
Yeah.
That is not a sign of freedom. And one thing that Americans need to realize as well is that if anybody in our society is having their freedoms revoked, or if they're having their constitutional rights like broken, right? That could be any of us. Any of us.
Yeah.
Like I think people in the United States, they think too much that because they have that 9 to 5 job, they're like above poverty and like don't see the baristas as people at those restaurants.
I know,
but it's just like,
please.
hey man, like the same person who's serving your coffee, that could be you.
Literally.
You're one fire, one car crash, one medical emergency away from being in serious debt, losing your job, and being on a low level job too.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what a lot of Americans forget, is that all of us are really only one emergency or one thing away from being on the short side of the stick.
Serious debt.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the reality.
100%. Yeah. Which kind of brings us to our next point of just the United States having the highest medical debts.
Wow. That's right. Yeah. The United States has the highest medical debt once again in the world.
Yep.
In the developed world of the countries that have, you know, whatever you want to call it, we have the highest amount of medical debt. That is not freedom. In the United States, receiving medical care could potentially put you in debilitating debt for the rest of your life. How is that freedom?
Yeah. Well, let me read this study. So basically, this is as of December 2021. So
Wow.
just imagine how much worse it's gotten since then.
Can't imagine.
As of December 2021, this was a study done by, what was the organization? The Survey of Income and Program Participation, SIPP. They did a study back in 2021 to look at medical debt, basically. And so it showed that 20 million people, which is nearly 1 in 12 adults, owe medical debt. 1 in 12 adults.
1 in 12 adults.
And what's the word I'm looking for? The way that they were looking at it is if you owed over $250 in like medical bills, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what they were looking at as significant medical debt.
Wow.
So not only were, not only were they able to find that, 1 in 12 adults owe medical debt, they also found that people in the United States owe at least $220 billion in medical debt. And that's as of December 2021, mind you. That's almost 5 years ago.
Oh my.
So imagine now, I didn't find an updated study, but just like imagine that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And like things have only gotten worse since then. We know that. We know things have only gotten worse.
Yeah.
And it's like, so there was a couple of other stats in here. So they also found that about 14 million people in the US owe over $1,000 in medical debt.
Damn.
And within that, there's about 3 million people that owe medical debt of over $10,000. 3 million people.
Wow, that's insane.
That's a lot of money.
And I mean, that's a ton of money. And like, medical procedures and things are massively expensive. Especially even like life-saving procedures are massively expensive. I remember when my dad had a heart attack, his first heart attack that he had when I was in high school, and it literally costed over $100,000 to save his life. And so, it's just like those sorts of things, that sort of debt, that keeps you locked here, right? That keeps you locked in, working with a massive debt over your head, and you have no choice but to work to try and pay that off, right?
And that's like one expense for people.
Yeah.
That's one expense. Imagine a mortgage, a
rent,
car, like
insurance.
any of your utilities, insurance. children. Like, people go into medical debt for having a child in the hospital.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, an
crazy.
ambulance can run you upwards of 20 to 30K. So it's like,
Even just having an emergency,
are
that's
you calling an ambulance
insane.
for 30K?
Never, never.
I'm a drive
Never.
with my wrist dangling. I'm
Yeah,
gonna be driving like this because
literally.
I ain't calling.
I'll drive you.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying.
No, I know. I'm just kidding.
But
No, but
yeah,
yeah,
it's
like
just
that's
that
insane.
is not freedom. And I know,
No.
like, whenever I've made, TikTok shorts in the past where I've talked about how we need a medical system, like a standardized medical system for the United States. And the first thing, again, Republicans, conservatives love to throw back at you is, oh, have you seen the lines in Canada? They have to wait for care for forever. Buddy, guess what? So do we. Literally, so do we.
Yeah.
I had to wait 4 months to go to the dentist. Had to wait another month for my next appointment. Trying to find a specialist, you are waiting for months.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand the delusion that some Americans live. It's like they're experiencing a completely different reality than the rest of us.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the things that you are saying are just unequivocally untrue. They're just lies that they spew out. Because in other countries, medical debt isn't even a thing that people worry about. And we pay just as much, if not more, in taxes than most of those countries that offer a subsidized healthcare plan
Yeah.
for their citizens.
Right. Well, we pay taxes plus
Plus.
our like medical.
Exactly.
What the heck is it called?
Like
our medical
premiums.
coverage
Yeah.
and our premium.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like the difference in level of care in the debt to care ratio and the wait time to treatment ratio, it is unarguably better in every other developed nation. You cannot sit here and tell me the one nation, the one developed nation in the world without subsidized government provided healthcare has the highest medical debt in the entire world. And you're going to try and tell me that system is working. Idiot.
People go bankrupt
Idiot.
over medical debt.
I know.
Like,
I know. That's what I'm
saying. It's actually so insane.
Yeah. And again, that's not freedom.
No,
freedom would be
not.
If you need care, you're able to go get care and it doesn't ruin the rest of your life due to crippling debt.
Yeah.
That is what freedom would look like.
Genuinely. I mean, it's the difference between having somewhere to live and being homeless.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like, you're literally one medical bill away from not being able to pay for your house anymore.
That's facts.
And even if you buy your house, it's not your house.
You gotta pay those taxes.
You gotta pay the taxes.
Property taxes every year.
Still, and you could lose it. Even if you pay off your entire
they'll come
mortgage.
Foreclose it.
They'll come foreclose your house.
Finesse it.
There's another thing.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. You don't own your property in the United States. Just so you know.
Yeah.
You might have bought that house, but you're a renter for life.
Yeah.
Because the moment you default on those property taxes, the state is foreclosing on your home and taking it from you.
Yeah.
And then they're going to sell it and they're going to keep the profit on it, all because you defaulted on your payments. That is the reality in the United States.
Yeah.
You do not own anything. If I don't pay my property tax on my car, they can come and finesse my car.
Yeah, for real.
We don't own shit here. We are renters. That is a reality, because as soon as you can't pay that tax, it's gone.
Yeah. And I mean, real world example, we literally had when you had first got your car, remember that? Mm-hmm. When you were trying to make your payments and it was just like so complicated and confusing to figure out, and then letter on the door. Yep. They will find you. Yeah. Like, they will find you.
They'll find you.
They will. they know where you are at all times. Like, facts. Again, freedom.
Is that freedom? I don't know. Because in a lot of other countries, like China, for example, where they have upwards of 80% of a billion people, of billions of people. Again, the Chinese population is massive.
Yeah.
Over 80% of their population is homeowners. And guess what? They don't pay anything else once they own that property. It's theirs. They own it. Mm-hmm. No taxes, no anything afterwards. They've paid the cost of the good. They own it. That's how it works in other developed countries.
Yeah.
But not here.
Not here. Yeah. Literally.
That's not freedom. You don't own it. You don't own it.
Mm-mm.
That's the reality. You can sit here and tell me you own your house until you're blue in the face, and I will just double dog dare you to miss a tax payment and see what happens. It won't be yours anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, that's not freedom.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
freedom.
Nah, 100% not. So crazy. Well,
I want to talk about the safety element.
ooh.
Safety in the United States.
Yeah.
Because we just had another mass shooting yesterday in Idaho.
The parking lot,
Yep.
the In-N-Out,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Guy brought an assault rifle, AR-15, and shot multiple Americans and killed them. We are not safe.
In a parking lot.
That could happen anywhere in our whole country.
Yeah, I mean, literally anywhere. School shootings.
So,
Anywhere.
So my question is safety not a part of freedom? Safety makes me feel free.
Same. Yeah, 100%. Again, like we're very well traveled. We've been to multiple different countries in Europe where, again, they have very common sense gun laws and they don't allow people, just citizens like you and me, to carry around guns out in public.
Let alone assault rifles.
Yeah, don't even own guns.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not even a thing over there. In at least like the countries we've been to, you know? So it's like
and you don't have to worry about crowds. You can walk out in public and not be checking your shoulders because you know that some rando with a vendetta isn't going to pull a gun out in a crowd
and start mowing people down, literally.
And we just don't have that freedom here in the United States. We don't have the freedom to go into public spaces or go into crowds or go to the grocery store or even be walking to our car in a parking lot and feel safe because of these gun owners and these crazy gun people that continuously shoot up areas in our country.
Yeah, 100%.
That is not safe.
No, it's not safe at all. And it's like, the second you feel like you have to be checking your shoulder every 2 seconds or sitting so that you're facing the door so you could see everyone that walks into a restaurant or an establishment that you're in.
Yeah.
You're already in like a heightened sense. You're not feeling safe or comfortable in your environment. Again, you're not free.
Your
like
mind space ain't free.
No, it's not, because you're clogged up with the feeling of
fear.
Something could happen right now. Something you literally never know, because someone could have a bad day.
Yeah.
And they're going to take it out on other people who had nothing
racist,
to do with it.
Like this last guy, right?
That's true.
So it's just like, these sorts of things happening in the United States. We have in our country the most mass shootings in the entire world. It is unbelievable. And yet, despite being on top when it comes to that statistic, we don't see our lawmakers rushing to make common sense gun laws to mirror the rest of the developed world.
No. And also, mass shootings are not normal.
They're not.
Like, I know it's normal. I know it feels normalized. I know we're kind of used to it in this country, as horrible as that sounds, desensitized to it. And it was so telling when the mass shooting in Australia happened and people from the United States were telling the people in Australia to basically get over it and stop crying about it. But when you're talking to people who are in a country that don't experience mass shootings, that is something that hits you so hard, because you're thinking about the loss of life. You're thinking about what the people are going through. People just lost family members. People died. But like, in this country, we see that all the time. We're so desensitized to it that
it's just a lack of empathy.
Yeah, it's a huge lack of empathy.
I mean, think about the fact that Sandy Hook happened right in front of our eyes, and Republicans dead ass the next day told people that's not what happened. You know what I'm saying? It's like there is a party of people that literally lives in a different reality than the rest of us. They refuse to address things at face value of the reality of what happened.
Yeah.
And it is baffling that literally we're almost 2 decades on from that. Where's the gun laws? Where's one gun law that's been passed since then to prevent another mass shooting? None. And we had one yesterday. Yeah. That's the United States. That is not freedom. Yeah. If you can't feel safe, you're not free.
No, you're not. You're not. I mean, mentally, you can't be. I mean, we talk about this all the time. We look at our jobs, even like that is just a whole other thing. 9 to 5, you're locked down to a computer. You're driving to work. You're having to like do all these things just for a job.
Just to survive.
Your mental space. You're not even able to like relax, go sit outside in a park. You can't just like take a walk anywhere.
Yeah. And my question for Americans is, right, do you think it makes sense that your life should start at 65 when you retire? Does that make sense to you? You should work your arse off for your entire life, all of your prime years, all of your healthiest years, and then start your life when you're an old bag. Does that make... Oh, okay. Doesn't make sense to me.
Does not make
That
sense.
doesn't sound like freedom to me.
Because like just think about your body at that point. I mean, sitting all the time, I feel my body
Yeah.
deteriorating. Like
Yeah.
I can't even imagine being 60 and having been doing this for 40 years.
No.
How my body would feel.
Nay,
So
nay,
I
nay.
can't even imagine trying to start traveling to the countries that we've already been to and just thinking about all of the walking we've done, the
Yeah.
biking, like all of the activity that we're able to do there just at a base level.
Yeah.
I don't know if my body could do it at that point, like
that age,
starting
yeah.
at that age.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, there is scientific research coming out right now that is showing that sitting down for more than 30 minutes at a time can be detrimental to your health. And think about how all of us are expected to just work for 40 plus years. You know what I
8
mean?
hours a day.
We are set up in a system that is meant to poison us. That is massively terrible for your body, being stationary and sitting this much.
Yeah.
And that's why we have so much obesity. That's why we have all of the food crisis. You know what I mean? It's all of these things are hand in hand,
Yeah.
because they want Americans to be in that negative headspace, to be in that, you know, that way you won't fight back.
Yeah.
Because you're so beat down and tired and, you know, exhausted, and you're unhealthy because you've been sitting all day and eating bullshit. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They're literally making it so that we cannot fight back against the shit they're doing.
Yeah, well, I think you said something to me recently that really like stuck with me about humans working these 9 to 5 jobs basically resemble a lot of the behaviors of like animals in captivity.
Yeah.
Right? Is that
Yeah.
something that you were saying recently?
Yeah, well, essentially, because I was comparing it to how human birth rates have declined dramatically and how we currently are not reproducing enough to maintain our population, which is a fantastic thing, by the way. Hashtag climate change. We need the population to decline massively, not through catastrophic events or war, just like through not replacing people.
Yeah.
Basically, I was saying that as we see with animals, they mate less in captivity. They're not doing their natural behaviors as an animal. They don't have as much space to exist. They don't have their normal instinctual environment that they would feel is conducive with having another child or having a, you know, reproducing.
Yeah.
And so they stop doing so, or it's very hard to get them to do it, or the scientists have to hop in and do it. Well, right, we're seeing the same thing with humans right now. We're living in captivity where everyone is forced to work these 9 to 5s 5 days a week, every week for your entire fucking life. And it is draining the life out of human beings. Truly. And that is why even us in captivity, we are reproducing less. It is because we are being held captive by the 1%, by the oligarchs and their greed. And they continue to steal all of the time and money from the rest of the population.
Yeah.
Because that's really what money is. Money and time are both energy things, you know, and they're just sapping those things from us. We could all afford to work a 4-day work week, right?
Yeah.
But the billionaires don't want to give us, the people, time. They don't want us to have an extra day because that would take away from their gains. So you see, we're not free. We work for them.
Think about a weekend. So if you work 9 to 5, I mean, some people don't even get weekends. Like a lot of service jobs, some people don't even get weekends, which is just even worse. But think about like a 9 to 5 job on the weekend. You have Saturday and you have Sunday. One of those days is going to be filled up with errands, and then you're going to want to relax. You're going to want to relax. Like there's not really a lot of time to be like, yeah, I want to go and do this thing. You know, like you could maybe take a couple hours out of your day and go and do something, but you're not going to spend a whole day being like, I'm going to go to the park today, and then I'm going to go to a coffee shop and read a book, and then I'm going to go like hang out with a friend or something. Like you don't have the time to be doing that because you're so exhausted from your week. You want a day to relax, but then you also need a day to do your errands. So
Yeah.
where is the time that people can spend doing the things that they actually want to do, or
Yeah.
like building relationships with people in their lives?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
such a great
again, that's
question.
just
And
such like a good point on captivity.
yeah, yeah, it definitely is. And kind of on the time element, right? Like we can kind of tie that into where most Americans spend their time, right? In our cars. You can't go anywhere unless you live in New York City, obviously. Unless you live in New York City, so in one city in our entire country, unless you live there, you literally cannot do shit without a car.
Yeah.
You can't go get groceries. You can't go to the doctor. You can't get around town. All of American cities are 100% car dependent. We don't have transportation. We don't have infrastructure that would allow us the freedom of being able to utilize multiple types of transportation to get around.
Yes. And on that point, again, like I think we've said this in a lot of our other videos, we know there's trains, but they are not updated and they are expensive. And again, the fact that they are not updated, people don't use it. People don't use the Amtrak, like, and it doesn't make it a viable option for like a third form of transportation.
Yeah.
We fly, we drive, and that is it. And they know that, so they
Yep.
can charge a lot for flights.
Yep.
And I mean,
And we
gas is
got toll
expensive. We got
roads.
toll
Yeah,
roads.
it's like,
Yep.
but yeah, something something in there. I kind of forgot it now,
Sorry.
but no, that's
Oh,
okay.
I was gonna say I was talking about like how expensive the trains are, how much they are.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. What I was going to say was, trains in Europe, if you've taken the Eurostar before, imagine the Eurostar like a filet mignon. And then imagine the Amtrak here in North Carolina and most of the United States as a fat pile of shit. That is the comparison between the trains in the developed world and the United States. I kid you not, I could jog alongside the train in my state. Dead ass.
We saw a traffic standstill for like, we went out to lunch. We saw a traffic standstill for like upwards of 40 minutes. People just sitting there waiting for the train to
It
go
was a freight
by.
train, yeah.
And the speed at which this train was going was sad.
They make turtles look fast.
Yeah, honestly.
So yeah, that
Oh
is
my
that
God.
is again not freedom. If we had freedom in our cities, we'd be able to hop on the metro, hop on the tram, hop on the regional city, take a train from city to city. Because guess what? We would then have the freedom of having multiple forms of transportation. So that would bring down the cost of airlines. That would also keep the cost of the trains down. And
Yeah.
that would lower fuel prices because there would be less people on the road. So all of those factors we don't get access to because we actually don't have the freedom of choosing our forms of transportation.
Yeah. Like it could be cheap for us to fly.
Yeah.
It could be. Like you talk to people from Europe who
We've taken flights in Europe for $50.
Exactly. Like we have done it, and like people in Europe will also just like talk so highly about how cheap it is to fly there and to travel there. We've experienced it ourselves, flying between different countries even.
Yep.
$50, 50 euros,
Yep.
50 euros a piece.
Yep.
And we're like, oh,
That's freedom.
oh,
That's freedom because they could have flown, they could have taken the train, they could have then driven if they really wanted
Yeah.
to. They had the options, and because they had options, it brought costs down for those options,
Yeah.
which makes travel more accessible for everybody.
Yeah.
That is freedom.
Period.
That's what freedom looks like. That's how freedom should function. Meanwhile, in the United States, we've got a large part, I think it's like 50% of our population doesn't even have a passport.
Yeah.
Well, why would we when traveling is impossible, right? When you have to get on a flight and it's massively expensive, where you have to fly out of a certain city for, it's a mess. That's why people aren't traveling in our country. And driving is a nightmare because there's traffic everywhere because everyone's on the roads.
I know. Wow. It's just
that's not freedom.
It's baffling.
That's not freedom. It should look, it takes Amtrak. It will take us longer to get to our nearby city on the train than it would driving.
Yeah.
That is not how it is supposed to work. So again, if you compare European trains to the Amtrak, you would spit on the Amtrak.
Yeah, you genuinely would.
Yeah.
Not only
don't
like
even have assigned seats or air
I know. I was literally
man,
just gonna
Amtrak.
say not only like the speed of the train, but like the quality of the train. I mean, you can
old.
Yeah.
Old,
Yeah.
smelly, ugh,
No assigned
no
seats,
air
just no
conditioning.
AC.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it is rough. It
No.
is rough. We have
Snacks
done
were
it.
atrocious.
Snacks were bad.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's
Ugh.
just it's not updated.
Yeah.
And so
Terrible, terrible,
therein
terrible.
lies the problem of people not wanting to use it and not wanting to actually
And the tickets ain't
endure
cheap.
it.
You're
Exactly.
paying a hefty price for shit service. It's insane.
Yeah.
You're paying like 50 upwards to $100 for a train to take you 2 hours, and it's gonna be the worst 2 hours of your life. Why would I pay for
You're
that?
better off taking a bus.
Give me a break. Yeah, absolute joke. So
Genuinely.
yeah, so that's the infrastructure in the United States.
Yeah.
Just another way we're not actually free because we don't actually have choices. And so the illusion of choice will bring me to food, right?
Oh.
Our food in the United States. You might think that when you go to the grocery store, you're seeing 20 or 40 different companies that are making all of these different named products. Absolute not. Absolutely not. It is
Mm-mm.
the same four companies that make everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And then
Everything.
they just brand all their subsidiaries different to make us think that it's a different company. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, think about like even Unilever
Yep.
is a big one
Yep.
because they have bought so many different companies, even some of the smaller companies that you're like, "Oh, this is a small brand. They're like cute, good for whatever. They're
Yeah.
like they're socially, I don't know, conscious
Aware.
and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah." Such as Ben and Jerry's. I know
Right.
that there was recently something with Ben or Jerry
Yeah.
who left the company because of political controversy.
Yeah.
And that's one that's owned by Unilever.
Yeah.
Big
But it's like the
corporation
same
just
thing with like the Kellogg's, with the, it's like
oh yes, Dove, like a
they,
lot of different
yeah, they own
products.
everything. So it's like you think you're getting a specific shampoo, like Sid said, from a small business. It seems like their marketing is targeting, saying the right things, vegan and sustainability and all those things. And then you look up the parent company and it's the devil itself.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
literally.
It's like that is an illusion of choice, which is actually a sign that we're not actually free. If we were free, we would have the freedom of choice, and companies wouldn't be allowed to use these predatory marketing tactics in order to deceive us into thinking they're offering different products when in
Mm-hmm.
reality, it's the same wolf in a different sheep's clothing that is still trying to prey on the consumer.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And another thing I was just looking up because something I've seen a lot as well is a lot of black owned businesses, black
Mm.
owned brands
Mm-hmm.
that are like supposed to be safe, right? They're supposed to be safe, especially for black people to use because the formula is made for specifically for like black hair and things like
Facts.
that
Yeah.
I'm not going to use that for my hair because it's different, right?
Yeah.
Like it's formulated specifically for that. But a lot of these companies are also getting bought. And so it's like they're being built off of this promise, but then they are, and Shea Moisture was just the example I just looked up, which is now owned by Sundial Brands, which just it's no longer considered like a black owned brand because of
Yeah.
the fact that it's been bought by this big corporation
Right.
that just doesn't put the same amount of love and care into the
Yeah, I was a big
products.
Shea Moisture person like before the whole buyout happened. And yeah, it's pretty funny to me now that they still are using the same branding. And I'd say they're even leaning even more into like their black forward branding now that a big corporation has taken over, which I think, again, it just highlights the predatory nature of it, right? It's
Yeah.
like you bought this company, you've changed the formulas, you've added chemicals, you've now corrupted the product that made this brand notable, and now you're trying to force very specific marketing down on the consumer's throat as if you haven't done those changes that will impact the product. so
Yep.
so yeah, it's just very predatory,
It
and again, it's
is.
the illusion of choice because these companies are making 10 of the shampoos now and 10 of the lotions,
Mm-hmm.
because they're buying out any of the small brands.
Yep.
So yeah.
Another one that I used to use was Meow. If you have,
Mm.
that's another like the one that's in our shower.
Oh, okay.
That's another one that was a black owned brand,
Mm.
and they were sold to Procter and Gamble.
Oh God.
just again, it's like
Oof.
these big corporations don't care about what they're putting in your
No,
products.
they
They don't
don't.
care about
They
it.
just want to
They
profit.
just want the profit.
They see that momentum and they're thirsty for it. Like they
Yes.
want that. They want to capitalize on that group, but then they want to find ways to make the product worse so it's not as expensive, because that's kind of the thing with small owned business typically, because they're using making better products and it's smaller owned, right? They're using better ingredients which are
Yeah.
often more expensive, which is why we pay a slightly higher price to support smaller businesses.
Yeah.
But what these companies are doing is they're buying that product, changing the formula so it's cheaper and less quality, and then selling it back to us at the exact same price so that they can continue to maximize their profit.
Yep.
So again, massively predatory.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And
And
sorry to get off the topic of food,
no,
because I know we were talking about how all of those companies, and I mean, again, food is something we put in our bodies every single day.
yeah,
So having all of these big corporations, which again do not care about you or me, they don't care about the food that they're giving you either. I
nah.
mean, even not just like the food that you'll find in grocery stores. Think about fast food. Think about a lot of those companies that people are eating the
Ooh,
food from.
God,
They, I mean, the CEOs won't even touch the food that their
I
company
know.
sells.
Please, if you haven't seen it, go watch the McDonald's, the Burger King. Go watch all of those CEOs attempt to take a bite out of their own food.
I
They
just,
literally won't do it. Not to mention the Campbell Soup guy who came out and said he would not even feed Campbell Soup to an animal, I think he
I
said, or
forget,
something
but yeah,
crazy
he
like
said
that.
something crazy like that.
Um,
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's just
so
like so telling of what they are doing because they see us as animals. They
yeah,
see us basically as
yeah.
livestock.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this before as well, but also just remember the same investors in these food companies, they're the same investors, BlackRock, et cetera, that are also in control of the pharmaceutical companies and in
Mm,
control of the medical device companies. So they have an incentive to make us sick through the food we're eating, because then that puts us perfectly in line to then need medical care. So you see they're the investors, the oligarchs, they're thinking of all of the chargeable interactions they can make off of each person. And so they know they're going to charge you for poison food, then you're going to eat poison food, then you get sick off poison food and then need their poison pills to make you feel better from the poison food, right? So that is how the complex works. They're all in bed together and they all operate with the same intentions: poison us while simultaneously extracting as much energy and wealth out of us as possible.
yeah, literally. Wow, you put that so perfectly. Yeah, no, genuinely. Yeah,
Yeah.
poison. That's really what it is. They,
Yeah.
again, yeah,
It's a
don't care
slow
about
poison, but
us
it's poison nonetheless.
because a lot of the foods that we eat like are carcinogenic.
Yeah.
Like even just bacon.
Yeah, I mean, so bad for you,
So
so
bad for
bad for you.
you. But
And yeah, and it's also like it extends beyond even food. It also goes into substances, right? Like
mm,
we know that alcohol is extremely bad for the
yeah.
body, causes liver disease, and is essentially like drinking straight up poison into your body that your body has to filter out. Meanwhile, a drug like marijuana occurs naturally on the planet, grows from the earth itself, and it has been demonized as if it's some evil substance that is harmful and all this stuff. Meanwhile, cannabis has, through scientific research, been proven to have a plethora of medicinal uses for people, more than just recreational, but just for medicinal uses. Cannabis has so many uses, and alcohol has none.
Yeah, I mean,
And
think about
yet,
it. You can have medicinal marijuana prescribed to you by a doctor,
yep.
but no doctor is going to say, yeah, just have a shot of vodka every night.
Right. But you see which substance is getting demonized in the media and which substance might get banned, right? We're seeing cannabis getting banned in states like Texas, but meanwhile in Texas, you can get 3 DUIs before you get a felony. So it's like, is that freedom? We don't even have the freedom to choose which substance we want to try
Yeah.
and enjoy, because 70% of voters in Texas voted in support of cannabis, and yet they've now made it a felony.
Yeah.
So again, we really don't have freedoms.
Freedom of choice is not. You
It's not
don't
really
actually
there.
have choice because
No.
like we're saying, these big corporations, they own everything underneath them.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
not as much of it's all an illusion of choice.
Yep.
You think that you have choice because you see all these different brands and the pretty packaging and it's all
Mm-hmm.
different and like the names are different, but you look at the back of the bottle and it'll show you exactly who owns it. It'll say Unilever, Procter and Gamble, or Sundial Brands, or
Yeah.
something.
Yep.
And it's nine times out of 10, unless you're going to like a market or some sort of co-op where you can buy directly from small businesses,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, the products in the grocery store, they're going to be owned by a big corporation.
Yeah. Yeah. Facts. It's so hard to find ones that aren't nowadays.
Yeah, genuinely.
But another thing that we had listed on our thing was a essentially like the cost of activities in our country also limits freedoms and personal freedoms. Two of the points we had brought up were, one is about like sports, right? So for youth, for children, the sports in the United States are pay to play. And that not only are they pay to play, but they are extremely expensive. A study that was done recently showed that on average, parents were paying upwards of $20,000 to have their kids in sports for like a year of sporting. That is naturally going to prevent a ton of people from getting the freedom, the opportunity to participate in those sports.
Now, imagine you have medical debt on top of that.
You think you're sending your kid to soccer practice when you got 100K over your head? Yeah, probably not.
Like that's just it's all just so predatory. It's like very much just, we don't want most people to be able to participate in this.
Certain groups of people. Exactly. We know it's meant to harm minorities. We know it's, we know why white people have done these things.
Yes.
But we're just saying
it's built in racism,
but now,
as are a lot of other things in this country.
Right. But now obviously we're seeing it go beyond racism, just a race thing, and also become a class thing where, it's not just affecting minorities now, it's also affecting just poor people generally. Just, all people who can't afford those sorts of things. And so
somehow sports have become a privilege,
right,
and not something that every child should have the right to be able to participate in.
And again, it's like Republicans are out here trying to deny people access, specifically women, to healthcare, right? So women, they're trying to prevent women from having body autonomy, and they're doing so in an effort to try and force people to have more kids. But think about it this way. Why would people have children when it's so expensive to have a child? $30K for the ambulance to the hospital, another hella bunch just to pay the hospital bill. And then if you're thinking long term, then you've got thousands of dollars for every year just if your kid wants to play a sport. Most people don't have money for that.
No.
So they are pricing Americans out of the freedom of just having leisure activities.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I'm like, leisure activities. I was going on a whole other tangent in my head just because you were talking about like the children aspect. And, another thing that we brought up was the safety.
Yeah.
Because that's just a whole other thing. Like your child leaves your house, leaves your line of vision, and you have literally no guarantees that they're going to be safe in anything that they do.
Yeah.
Not, being
it's
out,
true.
Going for a little bike ride, kidnapped.
Yep.
That's like, it's so much less common in other countries than you might think.
Yeah.
Like
it's facts. Yeah.
We've traveled to the Netherlands a few times. We will see people leave their children in strollers outside of the grocery store. Our American minds cannot comprehend that. We're like, are they for real?
We were parking our bikes like, yo, we got to stand out here and defend these children with our lives. Meanwhile, it was normal.
Children were just out there like,
we were walking in the store. The parent came back out, said what's up to his brats, and got on his bike and drove them away. And that is the type of, that is freedom.
Yes.
The freedom to walk into a grocery store and not worry if your children that you left outside are going to be gone when you get back out there. Or walking into a grocery store and not worrying that some psycho is going to walk in with a gun. Like, those are freedoms.
Yes.
Those are freedoms. That's freedom.
That is the freedom that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Just like the ability to feel at peace in your environment. And that is just not something we get here.
No.
But back to the amenities, because that is just something, again, like, not only is it expensive to participate in things, even as like an adult, if you're playing a club sport or something because you want to stay active or make friends or whatever, most times you gotta buy equipment or you gotta, pay to play or something like
It's
that so
always
that,
pay to play.
yeah, so that the
Everything's pay to
club or
play.
whatever you're joining can function.
Yeah.
So, like, even as adults, you might not even be able to participate in certain things like
Yeah.
that because you're like, oh, well, I can't afford to pay, I don't know how much it is, but like,
When I was doing indoor leagues, it would run like $200 for like a season of an indoor
okay.
league. So I
Yeah.
mean,
So like
pretty
if you have to pay
expensive.
that up
Yeah.
front,
Yeah.
you have to save for that. Like that could be a lot for some people. Like you
Yeah.
said, how much was it? What percentage of people in the United States don't even have up to a
Oh,
thousand
like over
dollars?
60%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like how is someone who doesn't even have $1,000 in their bank account meant to be able to participate in side quests or like leisure activities,
Yeah.
things like that? Because even going to a park or going to sit at a coffee shop or do anything, it's like you have to drive there, you have to pay gas to get there, you have to buy something while you're there. It's not like
Yeah.
something where you can just casually be like, yeah, I'm going to go and sit at a library,
Right.
or like
Yeah. There's
sit
not a lot
somewhere
of those
and
like free like leisure activities you can
yeah,
do.
and like
Because
access
yeah, I
easily.
mean,
Yeah.
in our city, for example, like yeah, there are like small little parks that you could go on a trail around, but you don't really see a park where it's like built up park with infrastructure where people can sit on benches, people can lay out with their blankets. You just don't really see that.
Sidewalks
We
all
don't have
throughout.
those sorts of green spaces in the United States, which allow for like that community element to be formed, because there isn't anything like that. And I always reference Vondel Park as my like ideal green space for a city,
Yeah.
because it's not only a biking community or a highway, but it's also just like a picnic area. Tons of people sit out there, relax out there, lay in the grass. They've got benches everywhere. They've got bathrooms. They've got businesses. You can bike there and bike away from there. There are train stops nearby. So it is an all encompassing park that is in the center of a city that the people utilize like crazy.
And that's
And
just
it's
one park
unmatched.
in that city.
Yeah, yeah. That's just one.
But
Every park in
yeah,
that
to
city
your
is like
point,
that.
like
But
Vondel Park is a amazing
yeah,
example of like a well put together community space.
yeah, and it brings the community together. Like when people are out there and they're seeing those like-minded people, seeing people doing the same activities with them as them, seeing other people sitting out, it creates a closeness and connection to your community. And we just really don't get that here in the States. There
Yeah.
just isn't really anything like that.
No, it really isn't. And like on that same note, like when you have spaces like that, I know it's tough to make friends as an adult. But when you have spaces like that where you can go and sit somewhere and go and like see people like kicking around a football and like doing little things like that, like you're more likely to feel comfortable being like, oh, maybe I could try and like join this group for a little
Right.
activity or something
Yeah.
like that. And like
Yeah.
you could make friends so much easier because you have more community based spaces, more third spaces where you can
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
and like interact with people at a base level. I mean,
100%.
yeah, and like become regulars at places and even just
Yeah.
like interacting with staff and trying to make friends in that way,
Yeah.
like you can do so many more things
Yeah,
in
when you have those sorts of
those
spaces
spaces.
available. But yeah, there's just not the same thing here. I mean, obviously, yeah, there are parks you can drive to. I'm sure someone in our comments will argue that a dog park is a great place to make new friends. But
If you have a dog.
yeah, again,
And dog parks are just, I mean, we could
yeah,
talk a
again,
lot about dog
my point of
parks.
bringing that up is just to say that of course someone is going to pull some
Oh,
fallacy in
yeah.
which they're trying to disagree against one specific point that we're making here. But our entire argument is just about like the general kind of philosophy of freedom, and how that applies to these different sorts of things.
Yeah.
So we're not saying there's no freedom in the United States, but what we're saying is that in a lot of the areas of quote unquote freedom we have, there is actually a lot of the illusion of freedom that's kind of masking the
Mm-hmm.
choices that Americans are making. And we're also using a perspective of people who have traveled to, plenty of other cities in the world, who can, draw the comparison of how free we felt in other cities versus various cities in the United States.
Yeah.
So yeah, just wanted to kind of put that baseline out there because again, I know that there's someone going to be so pissed that we're, even combating American ideology of freedom or whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no, valid.
yeah, I just want to let you know that our scope's a little bit bigger than yours, which is why we're able to kind of like view things in this perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, love that. Thanks, Millie.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to add? You definitely
I
had more
mean,
notes, but
we could probably do a part two.
yeah, if we really wanted to, we probably
Yep.
could.
So,
But yeah, so to conclude, those were our thoughts on the idea of freedom in America, in the United States. Yeah, that was
yeah.
it.
So, if you made it this far,
Thanks for watching.
and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.